Most managers, unfortunately, do not have better career advice for their team members than effectively, here's what I did. And if you do what I did, it will work out for you. I did spend the first 10 years of my career as a manager thinking the same thing. How does one address this issue? Well, the first thing that one needs to recognize as a manager or a leader is why this happens. Because if you understand why this happens, the why will point to the how. So why do so many managers, basically most managers, default to this approach of coaching and career coaching, which is here's what I did. And they may not say it in that many words. Just understand, this is not as simple as I don't, as a manager, use myself as an example ever. So therefore, I'm not doing this. No, you are likely still doing this. The way you're doing this is what you are saying to anybody on your team who needs advice, who needs feedback, who must get feedback, is you are comparing them to yourself, whether it's your present self or your past. Then the algorithm in your head does a delta of like whatever this person is and like where you are. So again, you are high up here, this person is down here, you're doing this delta. It's like, oh yeah, they don't present to executives very well. So that's one. And I do it well. Oh yeah, they don't pay a whole lot of attention to product analytics. For instance, they're not looking at dashboards every day. Oh, wait, they don't run SQL queries. I used to run SQL queries, and my engineers used to marvel at my SQL queries. I remember this because these points about me running beautiful SQL queries showed up in a bunch of my perf stuff when I was a PM3 or a senior PM trying to get promoted to group PM. So that's what the algorithm is doing. You don't know it, but that's what it's doing. And so you're giving them feedback, shit feedback, like you should run SQL queries. Again, I want you to understand this because if you don't understand this, there's no saving you and no saving your team. It's a lot more nuanced than just telling them, oh, this is what I did. Now, some managers just do that. But the moment you're comparing yourself against this person or where you were at the time and what you did, it doesn't matter how you communicated, but essentially you're running that delta. So now the question is, why are you doing that? You didn't decide to do it. That's just like how your brain OS operates. So why does it operate that way? Because you are still trying to prove to yourself how smart you are and why you deserve this job. Now, this is a very hard truth for most managers, but you have to understand this. And there are no different explanations to this. This is the reason why you're doing this. Again, you don't see it. You don't feel you're that kind of person. You feel you're very humble and blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest. This is why you're doing this. Because you want to feel competent. You want to feel like you deserve the job. You want to feel like you're better than other people. And so therefore, you only perform the delta on what you used to do back then or what you do today, and the knowledge you have today and where the employee is right now. To resolve this is to accept the tricks one's ego plays on oneself. Because once you understand this why, you're smart enough to find the solution. And of course, the solution is that your career guidance, your development feedback to the individual needs to remove you, yourself, out of the picture altogether. It needs to be based specifically first on understanding this individual's career goals. Every manager assumes that their career goal is the right career goal for every person on their team. Most managers don't try to understand their team members' career goals. That's the first step. Once you understand their career goals, now you work backwards from that goal to what it is that they need to develop to have a chance of getting there. See, you've removed yourself out of the equation. Okay? To that, you add external observations. So this is where the feedback comes in. Peer feedback, stakeholder feedback, executive feedback, your own feedback. So sure, provide your own feedback about, well, I would like you to do X, Y, Z, ABC, like this, like this. But here, I would add some more complexity to your job. Now this part, what I'm about to say is fairly important. So if you're multitasking, you should probably stop. The way to give feedback and the way to channel feedback to your team member, to an employee, is to make it harder for you to do so. First of all, you need to provide some sense making. There's going to be a bunch of feedback all over, and it's going to be very granular in some cases. Well, I wish Bob would like clean out the Jira tickets on time. Oh, I wish Alice would be more proactive in her status updates, etc., etc. So many managers, in fact, this is the norm. The way they give feedback is, oh, you should do this. It's activity based. Like, you should really clean out the Jira tickets. Oh, you should really send out more comprehensive status updates. Or, oh, you shouldn't bug this engineer at this time of the week. So they feel like they've done their job, but you've not done anything, right? All you've done is relay. Somebody said something and you said, yes, I agree, you should do this. You haven't provided that kind of maturity layer. So what does that mean? Well, you need to identify patterns. You need to try to understand, why is it that this person might not be cleaning out the Jira tickets? Is it about a belief they have about what is part of their job or not? Is it about an alternative, a higher leverage alternative that they are actually pursuing? Is it about just not wanting to do these kinds of mundane tasks because there's a story they've said to themselves that I'm a very strategic person that is born for bigger, better things, and this is beneath me? And furthermore, they're not really communicating that to their peers. So the feedback is not just you need to clean out the Jira tickets more often. You have to identify what it is that is really going on and start there and help them understand what assumptions they are making that may not be true or that might have a different perspective, or validate to them that, in fact, yes, there is this feedback, but I don't want you to address it because it seems to me that you are focused on more high leverage things and you want the team to grow up on their own. You want the tech lead to do some of that because of the product stage you are at and because of the value you can create in this specific area, much more than cleaning out Jira tickets. So this is what I mean when you deliver this feedback, whether it's your own or through stakeholder feedback, peer feedback, 360 feedback, whatever. Don't just say, do this, this is what your feedback says. No, you're being lazy, you're being incompetent as a manager. I want you to make sense of this feedback in the context of who this person is, in the context of what it's going to take to make their product, project, team successful. Very few managers do that. So that's one way. I want you to make it harder for yourself when you're delivering feedback. Another way, I want you to make it harder for yourself when you're delivering any feedback. And this is something I did starting certainly at Stripe. In some cases, I did it at Twitter, but unfortunately at Google and Yahoo, where I was also a manager, I did not unfortunately do this at all. That when you deliver feedback, I want you to also write in that feedback, in that evaluation, that these are the commitments I am making as your manager to assist you in addressing this feedback. Or these are the resources that are available to you that I would like you to leverage on your own. Or these are the actions I would like you to take to act on this feedback. Because it's very easy to say, oh yeah, you need to think more strategically. Every manager gives that feedback at some point. If I was your manager and you were giving this feedback to somebody on the team, I would say, okay, so what does this person need to do? What help are you providing to them? What mentorship, what opportunities, what resources are you providing to this individual or referencing for this individual such that they can actually act on this feedback? Now, many of these operator type managers, the mistake they make, despite what they say, they treat people like resources, like they're means to an end. So what ends up happening is they will give feedback and then they will give some deliverables like, okay, this is the feedback. You need to be more strategic. And what that means is that I want to see a product strategy for this thing by July of this year. And they'll feel very proud. Oh, I did an OKR style thing in the feedback. Why? Because that's the output they want. But they're not committing themselves. This is a senior PM. They're not a group PM or a director. I should not be expecting them to actually formulate a great strategy on their own. They will need help. So where is that help coming from? And again, this is not just you taking on more tasks, right? You could give them other self-study resources or other things, but you do need to make this delivery of feedback harder for yourself than the easy one of like, yeah, you need to be more strategic. Come on. Everybody does the normal management, but if you want to get to mastery in management, these are some things that you really need to understand.